Hi, I'm Kerry, and I have read Karen Quinn's book, Testing for Kindergarten, and without a doubt, it's a must-read for anyone with young children. It was a really big wake-up call for me when I read the book because I have young kids, and one of the things that you think about or expect is that when they go to school that the teachers will spend the time and actually be the ones who are teaching your children. But by reading it and seeing the types of things and the testing and the questions and where the children should be at a certain level, it got me thinking, you have actually, as a parent, need to be very involved in making sure your kids are well prepared for kindergarten, but also for everyday life, from social interactions to also academic interactions. So it was a very big wake-up call when I read. One thing that I didn't realize that Karen expressed here was the tracking system and how the testing was taking place and how your kid would be tracked during the her entire school program. So one of the things that I did, which I think was critical that I never even thought about, was active reading. I had no problems reading to my child, but I wasn't doing active reading where I was asking questions and engaging her to think beyond what was on the page. And it really got her so involved. It got her thinking about things, and I was actually teaching her about things that were going on in everyday life. One of the things is just talk to your kid, and Karen talks about that all the time, and that is so important. Just going through life and posing questions and explaining things, all of that stuff helped to expand Sophie's vocabulary tremendously. She already had strong communication skills, but now I felt that they were off the charts. I knew that she'd present well when we met with the kindergarten teachers when we started the program. One of the things that we worked on as well is getting her reading up to speed. You would be shocked, I was shocked at how many kids were already readers going into kindergarten. So it was very important for me to get her in that top reading group so that she was being challenged and really working with some of the more advanced kids in the program. So we worked a lot on getting her phonics ready, working on some of the programs that Karen mentions, the Kumon programs or Hooked on Phonics, or things that are out there on the computer that are engaging for your child. We also, for math, which tends to be an issue for girls, we spent a lot of time on just the everyday things that Karen talks about, which is helping, cooking together in your kitchen, talking about measurements, talking about height, having your measuring tape out there and understanding that things are taller, things are shorter, how do things weigh, when you stand on a scale. Talking about are things more or less. All of those lessons, which we take for granted, are so important, and things that they actually do teach in kindergarten. Regarding Sophie, it's been a great, it was well worth my read, and all of the day-to-day lessons that Karen has taught, I implement in our day, and it's been very worthwhile for Sophie. One of the things that I also found was that the feedback that I got from my teacher was how impressed they were with how engaged Sophie was in raising her hand and knowing answers, and she felt good, confident about herself, and it just inspires her to learn more and more. So this book is not just for somebody who's testing to get your kid into private school. It's very relevant for that, but it's so much more. You really have to understand what it is that your kids should be able to do at this point and really take responsibility for getting them up to speed. Now with Christoper, as I had mentioned, Christoper was coming from a point of not speaking at 2.5 to a year later, where we are now, to not being able to shut up. It's been an amazing year for him. And I really did take Karen's book. I read it. I focused on the exercises. I would say probably the most important things for me getting him from not speaking to speaking all the time and asking questions was just active reading. We spent an enormous amount of time reading, and it wasn't just reading the words on the page. It was engaging him, asking questions, and really expanding on that, which it took his vocabulary from nothing to something that I think is remarkable in 1 year. And the other thing is just engaging in everyday life that she talks about, which is how do you teach your kids to expand their vocabulary? It's going out and talking. We spent a lot of time in the grocery store. He was very active with me in learning the foods, the colors of the foods, the shapes of the foods, how many apples I need, how many pieces of corn do I need, things like that. it's been a remarkable year for him. The teachers are absolutely amazed at how far he's gotten. I am very proud. And now, where I was worried, do I have a child who might be have learning disabilities, to a point where, okay, great, I'm not only am I on track, when looking at Karen's assessment of where he is, not only am I on track, but to get him into kindergarten, I've got a year, I can do that and get him to a level that I feel comfortable. Because one of the things that's I found very important is that the kindergarten in public school, you go in, they expect you to know nothing, but they expect you to be able to move from knowing nothing to be able to reading by the end of the school year. So it is very fast-paced, and my recommendation to any mom is that your kid should be well prepared, more advanced going into kindergarten, because the pace is so fast. This book will definitely help you get there. So if your child is behind, it's not the end of the world. You can actually turn it around. I did it with Christoper without a doubt, and it was very successful. I recommend this book because I think, it gives you that wake-up call to say, what do I need to do? It's not the end, and stop the problems now before they get worse, because you don't want to take it to a level where your kid is struggling. That's what we don't want for our kids. I don't want it for mine, which is why I took a big responsibility to be an active parent and help my kids. And this book, again, is just a friendly reminder of what you should be doing to really set your kids up for great success.